Hello guys, in this video we are going to be working on question 1, and without wasting any time, let's start with question 1.1. So question 1.1, we are given a scenario that we need to go through and then be able to answer a set of questions that we are given as well. So we are told that the table below shows the relationship between hours and the rate of charged per hour or part thereof. And then tariffs include value added tax, which is VAT, and we are told to refer to the table and answer the questions that follow. So here they are talking about tariffs. So tariffs basically refers to the cost or the rate, or we can say the price. So don't be intimidated by the word tariff. Okay, so let's go ahead and start working on our set of questions. So we can see that table 1 is parking fees for this area. Okay, so we are told that lost ticket penalty is 50 rand plus additional charges. So let's go ahead and start working on our first question, which is question 1.1.1. So question 1.1.1 says that what is the rate charged if Mr. Sokutu parked his car for 8 hours and 15 minutes? For 8 hours and 15 minutes. So if we look at the last row on our column, we can see that if you park for more than 8 hours, you will have to pay 40 rand. And we can see that Mr. Sokutu parked his car for more than 8 hours, meaning that he will have to pay 40 bucks, which is 40 rand. Okay, so now let's move to the next question, which is question 1.1.2. So question 1.1.2 says that write 8 hours and 15 minutes in hours. So we are told to write 8 hours and 15 minutes in hours. Okay, so whenever you see this question, we can see that the 8 hours are already given in hours, meaning that we only need to convert the 15 minutes into hours, because we can't convert something that has already been converted for us. So the 8 hours is already fine. So we only need to focus on the 15 minutes. And how do we convert minutes to hours? So converting from minutes to hours, what do? We divide by 60, because we all know that 1 hour is equivalent to, or 1 hour is equals to 60 minutes. So in this case, we are going to take the 15 minutes and divide by 60. So 15 divided by 60. So now we can see that 15 minutes in hours is equals to 0.25 hours. So now we can just add the 2. We can add the 8 hours and the 0.25 hours. So now we are going to add the 2 because they are both in hours. So we are going to say 8 hours plus 0.25 hours. So it will be 8 plus 0.25, which will be 8.25 hours, and this will be our answer. Okay, so now let's move to the next set of question, which is question 1.2. So now let's move to question 1.2. So question 1.2, question 1.2, we are told that Mr. Titi lost his ticket, and when looking at the security cameras, they could see that he arrived at the mall at 11:30, and that it was now 2. So he arrived at the mall at 11:30, and then he left at 14:20, meaning that we can see that. So if we calculate the distance between 11:30 to 2, we can see that that is equivalent to 2 hours and 50 minutes. So he spent 2 hours and 50 minutes at the mall. Okay, so now let's go ahead and start working at our set of questions. So we'll start with question 1.2.1. So question 1.2.1 says that determine how much time lapsed. Okay, so to determine how much time lapsed, so that basically means what? The time is spent at the mall. So it's from 11:30 to 2:20. So we have already calculated that. So we know that our answer is going to be 2 hours and 50 minutes. So maybe we can just come here and write 11, not 11, we can just come and write 12:30, and then also write 13:30, and then also write, yeah, so we can see that from 12:12, this is an hour, and then from 12:30 to 1:30, this is another hour, and then from 1:30 to 2:20, this is 50 minutes. So when we add everything, it will be 2, which is 2 hours plus 50 minutes, meaning that it will be 2 hours and 50 minutes. So it will be 2 hours and 50 minutes, and that will be our answer. So now let's move to the next question, which is question 1.2.2. 1.2.2. So question 1.2.2 says that calculate how much Mr. Titi was charged. So remember, Mr. Titi lost his ticket, so he's going to pay 50 Rand for the lost ticket, and remember that he spent 2 hours and 50 minutes. So that's between 2 to 3 hours, and it's going to be charged 7 Rand for that. So we can easily see that Mr. Titi ended up paying 57 Rand, and that will be our answer. Okay, so now let's move to the next set of question, which is question 1.3. So now let's move to question 1.3. So now let's start by creating a bit of space. And remember, guys, that we do have extra classes that are very much affordable. So you only pay 80 rands per month to join, and you attend twice per week and 8 times in a month. So you're basically paying 10 Rand per lesson. So that's very cheap. That's very affordable. So if you want to join, you can just contact or WhatsApp the number you are seeing on the screen, and then we will be able to add you to the group. Okay, so now let's move to question 1.3. Let's move to question 1.3. So question 1.3 says that refer to the rectangular diagram below and answer the questions that follow. So we need to refer to the rectangular diagram and answer the questions that follow. So let's start with question 1.3.1. So question 1.3.1 says that define the term perimeter. Perimeter. Okay? And the term perimeter, it is basically the total distance around the outside of the shape. So if this is our shape, the perimeter will be the total distance around the shape. So it will be this side plus this side plus this side, and then plus this side. So this will be our perimeter. So it is the total distance around the shape. So we can say it is the total distance around the shape. Okay, so now let's move to the next question, which is question 1.3.2. 1.3.2. So question 1.3.2 says that determine the perimeter of the rectangular diagram in centimeters. So we can see that our length was given as 210, and then our width was given as 100, and we know that this side is equals to this side, so even this side is equals to 210, and then even this side is equals to 100. Okay, so to determine the perimeter, remember we said the perimeter is the total distance around the shape. So we have all the distances. So to get the total distance, we just add everything up. You see how easy it is. We just come and say 210 plus 100 plus 210 plus 100, and then our answer will be our perimeter. So it will be 210 plus 100 plus 210 plus 100, and our perimeter will be 620 centimeters. Remember, we are told to write it in centimeters because even our distances are given in centimeters. Okay, so now let's move to the next question, which is question 1.3.3. 1.3.3. So question 1.3.3 says that give the name of the scale found on the diagram. So we can see that the scale is given in numbers. So we can easily say that this is a number scale, or we can say, or to make it more formal, we can say it's a numerical. You can say number or numerical scale. Okay, so now let's move to the next question, which is question 1.1.4. 1.3.4. Apologies about that. Okay, so question 1.3.4 says that explain what scale 1 is to 100 means. So to explain this, we can easily say every 1 unit on the map represents 100 units in reality. So the 100 means in reality. So if we are seeing 1 centimeter on our shape, it means that in reality this is equals to 100 centimeter. So the 100 means in reality, in actual reality, because if you measure 1 centimeter on a paper, it won't be the same as 1 centimeter in real life. Remember, a paper is only an A4. Okay, so this means that 1 centimeter that you measure on your paper or on your shape or map, in reality that 1 centimeter is equals to 100 centimeter. That's how you explain a scale. So we can see that every 1 unit on the map represents 100 units in reality. That's what it means. Okay, so now let's go to our last set of questions for question 1, which is question 1.4. So we'll start with question 1.4.1. So question 1.4.1 says that identify from the list below a provincial road in South Africa. They are as follows. So we have N10, R44, and then M75. So let's explain all of them. So the N, so if a road starts with N, the N stands for national. And then if the road starts with M, M stands for metropolitan. So there are cities that have metropolitan municipalities. So those are metropolitan roads. Okay. And then R stands for regional, which is provincial. So we can easily say that the provincial road will be R44. So now let's move to the last question for question 1, which is question 1.4.2. So question 1.4.2 says that define the term provincial road in the above context. Okay, so provincial roads serve as feeders to the national roads. So they serve as feeders to the national roads. So they join the national road. So they feed the national road, serve as feeders to the national roads. And that brings us to the end of question 1. In this video, we are going to be working on question 2. In this video, we are going to be working on question 2. Okay, so we will start with question 2.1. So we are told that a group of 4 university friends plan to watch the rugby game between the Springboks and All Blacks in Durban. They plan to travel by car and share the cost of the trip. And then we are told to use annexure A of the addendum to answer questions that follow. So we'll start with question 2.1.1. So we are going to start with question 2.1.1. So question 2.1.1 says that identify the type of the scale on the map. So if we look at our scale, we can see that our scale is given in kilometers and in miles. So we can easily see that we have bars within those scales. So it will be a bar scale. Because if we see, this is our scale, so we do have 2 bars. So we have a bar here, and we also have another one here. So this is a bar scale. So now let's move to question 2.1.2. Question 2.1.2 says that what is the general direction from Umtata to Cape Town? And then if you look at our map, we can see that here we have north, here we have south, here we have west, and then here we have east. Okay, so if we look at Umtata, we can see that Umtata is here. So we can see that Umtata is here, and then Cape Town is somewhere. Cape Town is somewhere here. So if this is our center, if this is Umtata, which is our center, it means that the general direction will be, so this will be our north, east, south, west. So if Cape Town is here and here is Umtata, we can easily see that Cape Town falls between south and west. So our answer will be southwest. Okay, so now let's move to the next question, which is question 2.1.3. 2.1.3. So question 2.1.3 says that question 2.1.3 says that Durban and Uppington are 9.6 centimeter apart on the map, and Mr. Anthony claims that the distance between Durban and Uppington is 972 kilometers. Okay, so if we look at our scale, if we place our ruler on our scale, so if we come and place our ruler on our scale, we can see that it is 2 centimeters. Just that I didn't print it out the paper, and I didn't I don't have the ruler with me, but if you place it, we can easily see that it is 2 centimeters. So this is what you need to do if you have questions like this in the exam, meaning that always remember to take your rulers to the exam so that you can be able to measure such things. So if it is 2 centimeters, it means that 2 centimeters is equals to 250 kilometers. So 2 centimeters on the paper, on the map is equals to 250 kilometers in actual reality. So if they are saying that Durban and Uppington are 9.6 centimeter apart, it means that now we need to come and say 9.6 centimeters multiplied by 250, so that we can see the actual distance. So it will be 9.6 multiplied by 250, 9.6 multiplied by 250, it will be 2,400. It will be 2,400. And remember, we need to divide by 2, by these two, because 2 centimeters equals to 250 kilometers. So we need to divide by 2 to get the actual distance. So if we divide by 2, we can see that the answer will be 1,200 kilometers. So the answer will be 1,200 kilometers. And remember that the question said that Mr. Anthony claims that the distance between Durban and Uppington, it is 972 kilometers. So we can see that Mr. Anthony is wrong. So we can say Mr. Anthony is incorrect. And then that brings us to the end of question 2.1.3. And now we'll be moving to question 2.2. So let's just create a bit of space. So now we'll be moving to question 2.2. So question 2.2 says that Amos and his friends took exactly 17.25. Amos and his friends took exactly 17.25 hours to drive 1,635 kilometers from Cape Town to Durban for the rugby game between the Springboks and the All Blacks. Determine Amos' average speed for the trip in kilometers per hour. So we are told that we may use the formula speed is equals to distance divided by time. So if we check, we can see that our distance will be given in kilometers, and it is 1,635. And then our time, remember it took, if you look at the scenario, we are told that it took 17.25 hours, meaning that our speed will be equals to 1,635 divided by 17.25. So the average speed per hour will be 1635 divided by 17.25. So it will be 94.783 kilometers per hour. So this is question 2.2.1, and then now we'll be moving to question 2.2a. So question 2.2a says that the petrol consumption of the car is 1 liter per 12.5 kilometers. Amos claimed that if the petrol consumption was 0.80 liters per 10 kilometers, the car would use less petrol. Verify with necessary calculations if his statement is valid. So let's start with the first one. So we are told that if the car is using, if 1 liter goes 12.5 kilometers. So this is the statement that we are given. So we are told that 1 liter per 12.5 kilometers. So now let's go ahead and calculate the number of, let's go ahead and calculate the number of liters. Let's go ahead and calculate the number of liters. So how do we do that? How do we check the number of liters if 1 liter is costing, if 1 liter only travels 12.5 kilometers? So to get the number of liters, remember the total distance was 1635. So we take 1635 kilometers and divide by 12.5 multiplied by 1. So this is the 1 liter. This is the 1 liter. So now to get the number of liters, we will come and say 1635 divided by 12.5 multiplied by 1, which is our 1 liter. The answer will be 130.8. So to travel 1635, we need 130.8 liters of petrol. So now we are told that Amos claims that 0.8 liters, if it's going 10 kilometers. So now let's do the same but using what Amos said. So we know that our total distance, remember we are calculating for the number of liters. So we know that our total distance is 1635, and then now we are going to divide by 10, by this 10, and then we multiply by the liter, which is 0.80. So to get the total number of liters, we will just come and say 0, come and say 10, and then here we'll say 0.80, and the answer will be 130.8. So the number of liters are equal. So we can say Amos' statement is not valid. So we can say not valid. We can say not valid. So now let's move to our last question for question 2, which is question 2.2.2 but B. But B. So the question is saying calculate the cost of petrol to drive from Cape Town to Durban, and the petrol price is 24.74. So we use the total number of liters. So we need 130.8, and then we multiply by the price per liter, which is 24.75. So it will be 130.8 multiplied by 24.75. And we can see that the cost will be 3,237.3. And then this brings us to the end of question 2. In this video, we are going to be working on question 3, and we have question 3.1. We have question 3.1. So we are told that Uyatanda Home Industry specializes in baking and selling cakes of all types. The recipe of a cake is shown below. Study the recipe and answer the questions that follow. So we have the ingredients and we also have the sour cream chocolate cake. So the preparation time is 20 minutes and the baking time is 55 minutes and the total time is 75 minutes to bake the cake. Okay, so we are given the ingredients and we are also told that an order was received for 90 people who will be attending an event. Each person must get 1 slice of cake, and then 12 slices can be cut from 1 cake, and then 1 cake weighs 900 grams. And then the amount of energy in 100 gram of cake is 400 calories. So let's go ahead and start working on our set of questions. So we'll start with question 3.1.1. So question 3.1.1 says that write down the mass of 1 cake in kilograms. So the mass refers to the weight of 1 cake. So we know that 1 cake weighs 900 grams. So the question is saying write down the mass of 1 cake in kilograms, meaning that we need to convert from grams to kilograms. And how do we do that? Converting from grams to kilograms, we know that we need to divide by 1000. We need to divide by 1000, meaning that our answer will be 900 divided by 1000. So it will be 900 divided by 1000, which is 0.9%. Not 0.9%, it will be 0.9 kilograms. Remember, it needs to be in kilograms. So now let's move to the next question, which is question 3.1.2. So question 3.1.2 says that determine the mass of 1 slice of cake in grams. So now we need to determine the mass of 1 slice of cake in grams. So let's check. So we need to determine it in grams. So we know that 1 cake consists of 12 slices. So to determine the mass, so the mass, we just need to come and say, so the mass, which is the weight, we just need to come and say 900 divided by 12. Remember, it is already in grams, so we just divide only. So it will be 900 divided by 12. So it will be 75 grams. Okay, so now let's move to the next question, which is question 3.1.3. So question 3.1.3 says that calculate the number of calories in 1 slice of cake. So we are told that the amount of energy in 100 grams of cake is 400 calories. So we know that 1 slice of cake consists of 75 grams. Okay, so we'll just come and say 75 divided by, so it's 75 grams divided by 100 grams multiplied by 400. Then we'll be able to see how much calories does one slice of cake has, because we divided by 100 because we are told that 100 grams of cake consists of 400 calories. So we just divide 75 by 100 to see how much 75 grams of cake has, to see the amount of calories 75 grams of cake has. So it's 75 divided by 100 multiplied by 400. So the answer will be 300 calories. Okay, so now let's move to question 3.1.4. So question 3.1.4 says that convert total time in minutes to hours. So we need to convert total time from minutes to hours. So we know that total time is 75 minutes. Again, we know, guys, we know that in an hour we have 60 minutes. So if we want to convert minutes to hours, we divide by 60. So we'll come and say 75 divide by 60. And the answer that we will get, it will be in hours. So 75 divided by 60 is equals to 1.25 hours. And that will be our answer. So now let's move to the last question for question 3, which is question 3.1.5. Question 3.1.5 says that determine the number of cakes that should be baked for the number of guests at the event. So we know that there are 90 guests. We know that there are 90 guests. Remember, we need to determine the number of cakes. Number of cakes. So there are 90 guests, meaning that each guest will need one slice, meaning that we will need 90 slices. And we know that one cake has 12 slices. So to get the number of slices, we just come and say 90 divided by 12. And then we will get the number of cakes. So it will be 90 divided by 12. So the answer will be 7.5 cakes. So we can't have 7.5 cakes. It means that we need to round it up. So meaning that we will need 8 cakes. So some of you might be asking yourself, why are we saying 8 instead of 7? So we look at this 5. So if this number here is greater than or equals to 5, this 7 becomes 8. But if this number is less than 5, the 7 remains the same. So because it is greater than or equals to, so in this case it is equals to 5, it means that the 7 will now become 8. That's why we have 8 cakes. And that brings us to the end of question 3. In this video, we are going to start with question 4. And we will start with question 4.1. So we are told that Johan Mower buys a small fish tank from Bay Aquariums for the price of 472, and the 472 includes VAT. So he wants to present the dimensions of his fish on a piece of paper. His father, an architect by profession, told him to use a scale of 1:30. Okay, so the dimensions that we are given, those are real dimensions. So now we need to convert it back into a piece of paper, and we are given a scale for that. So we are told that the table below shows the dimensions of a small fish tank. Study the table and answer the questions that follow. So we can see table 2. We are given the dimensions of the small fish tank in meters. And we are also given the dimensions on a piece of paper in centimeters. So these are the centimeters. So our answers, which are A and B, which are unknown, needs to be in centimeters. Okay, so now let's go ahead and start working on our set of questions. Please pay attention so that you can understand how this works. Okay, so we'll start with question 4.1.1. So we'll start with question 4.1.1. So question 4.1.1 says that refer to the table above. Use the scale to calculate the missing value of A and B. Okay, remember our A and B needs to be in centimeters. So we are told that. And if we look at the dimensions of the small fish tank, it is given in meters. And we know that if we have meters and we want to convert something into centimeters, if we have a meter and we want to convert something into a centimeter, we know that we have to multiply by 100. Okay, so now let's start with our height. So our height, we can see that it is given as 0.45 meters. So if we want to convert it into centimeters, we simply have to come and multiply by 100. So our height will be 0.45 multiplied by 100, which is 45 centimeters. So this is an actual height in actual reality. Actual height. So this is in actual reality. Okay, so now let's do the same for our length. We know that our length is given as 1.05 meters. So if we want to convert it into centimeters, we just come and multiply by 100. So let's quickly do that again. So it will be 1.05 multiplied by 100, and the answer will be 105 centimeters. Okay, so these are in actual reality. Remember that we are told that we need to write the dimensions on a piece of paper in centimeters. So we need to convert this down into a piece of paper, and we are told that we need to use the scale of 1:30. So now, because we need to write it in a piece of paper, it means that we need to divide by 30. So if you go back to question 1, you will see that to use the scale 1:30, it means that 1 centimeter in a piece of paper is equals to 30 centimeter in actual reality. So in this question, we can easily see that our answers, or our height and our length, are already given in actual reality. So if we want to convert it back, we just divide by 30, meaning that our A, which is our height, will be equals to 45 centimeters divided by 30, and then we will get our answer. And then our B, which is our length, will be equals to 105 centimeters divided by 30, and then we'll get our answer. Okay, so we'll come and say 45 divided by 30 is equals to 1.5 centimeters, and then 105 divided by 30 is equals to 3.5 centimeters. So now we have answered our A and our B. Okay, so now we'll be moving to question 4.1.2, sorry. So now we'll be moving to question 4.1.2. So question 4.1.2 says that determine the volume of the small fish tank in centimeter cube. So now we are going to use the actual centimeters. So now we don't have to. So remember, the first question we only need to write it in a piece of paper. So now we don't need to use these ones. We need to use the actual ones in reality. Okay, meaning that we will use the 45 centimeter and 105 centimeter. Remember that our volume is equals to our length multiplied by our width multiplied by our height, and we know that our width will be 0.3 multiplied by 100, so that we can convert it into centimeters. So it will be 0.3 multiplied by 100, and it will be 30 centimeters. Another thing, guys, if you are asked to calculate something, in this case we are asked to calculate our volume, it means that our dimensions needs to be measured equally. So if we are measuring it using centimeters, it means that all dimensions needs to be in centimeters. So you can't have centimeter and meter and millimeter. No, they need to be the same. They all needs to be in centimeters. So now let's go ahead and work out our volume. Our volume will be equals to our length, which is 45 centimeters, and our width, which is the one we calculated here, which is 30 centimeters, and our height, which is, so our length is 105, so you will have 105 centimeter multiplied by 30, and then 45 centimeter, which is our height. Okay, and then now we just plug this in our calculator to get our volume. Our volume will be 105 multiplied by 45 multiplied by 30. So it's 105, 45, and 30. And it will be 141,750. So this would be our volume. Okay, so now let's go ahead and work on question 1.1.3. So we will only rub the above to create space. Remember, guys, that we do have extra classes, and if you want to join, you can just send a message on WhatsApp on the number that you are seeing on the screen. Our extra classes are very affordable, only 80 rands per month. Okay, so now let's go ahead and work on question 4.1.3. So question 4.1.3 says that how many liters of water will the tank hold when it is 90% full? Okay, so we are told that we may use the formula 1 centimeter cube is equals to 1 milliliters. Okay, so now we need to convert. So let's see what we need to do. Okay, so now we are told that 1 centimeter cube is equals to 1 milliliters. So what does this mean? Remember, our volume was given in centimeter cube. So this means that 141,750 is equals to 141,750 milliliters. Okay, so now remember the question is saying how many liters of water will the tank hold when it is 90% full. So now we need to convert our milliliters into liters, and we know that if we want to convert milliliters into liters, we divide by 1000. So we'll come and say 141,750. And guys, before we proceed, whenever I'm answering a question that has to do with conversions, always make sure that you write it down so that you understand it and practice it, so that you know if it comes in the exam that if you need to convert from milliliters to liters, you just need to divide by 1000. So that's what we are going to do here. So here we are going to convert from milliliters to liters. And what do? We divide by 1000. So that's what we are going to do. We are going to divide by 1000. Remember, we are converting from milliliters to liters. So if we divide, it means that the answer that we are going to get, it will be in liters. So it will be 141,750 divided by 1000. and the answer will be 141.75 liters. Okay, so remember the question is saying that how many liters of water will the tank hold when it is 90% full. So now we can just come and find 90% of the total liters. So it will be 141.75 multiplied by 90 divided by 100. So we can either say 90 divided by 100 or we can say 90%. The answer will be the same. Okay, so if it is 90% full, it means that it will be 141.75 multiplied by 90 divided by 100. So if it is 90% full, the tank will be having 127.575 liters. And that will be our final answer. So now we'll be moving to the next set of questions, which is question 4.2. So now we'll be moving to question 4.2. Remember to subscribe, guys, to the channel so that when we drop a video or when we post a video, you are the first to be notified so that you don't left behind. So now we'll be moving to question 4.2. Okay, we'll be moving to question 4.2. So we are told that the winner was selected randomly. Mr. Sokutu won the grand prize of 150,000. He submitted 1,000 entries out of the total of 10,000 entries for the competition. He further decided to use 90,000 from the 150,000 to extend his single garage into a double garage. He had a draughtsman draw up the plan. The plan is drawn below. Okay, so now we are going to start with question 4.2.1. We are going to start with question 4.2.1. 4.2.1. So question 4.2.1 says that calculate the actual length and breadth of the existing and planned new garage in meters using the given scale. So we can see that the measure of length is 50.4 millimeters and the measure of width, it is 25.6 millimeters. So we need to calculate the actual length and breadth of the existing and planned new garage. So if we check, we can see that we are given the scale. So the scale is saying 1:150. So the question is saying calculate the actual scale. So the dimensions that we are given here, they are on a piece of paper, and we are told that 1 unit is equals to 150 units in actual reality. Again, we are told to give our answer in meters. So our answer needs to be in meters. Okay, so now let's start with the actual length. Remember, we are asked to calculate the actual length and the actual breadth. And guys, the word breadth and width can be used interchangeably. So they basically mean one and the same thing. So whether they say breadth or they say width. So this is width. So this is one and the same thing. So these words are used interchangeably. So if they used breadth, just know that they are referring to width. And if they used width, just know they are referring to breadth. So now we need to start with the actual length. Actual length. So to get the actual length, or the length in reality, we just need to come and say 50.4 millimeters multiplied by 150. Remember, we are told that 50.4, so this basically means that 50.4 millimeters on a piece of paper is equals to 150 millimeters in reality. That's what the scale is saying. That's what the scale is saying. Okay, so if we multiply the two, we will get, so it will be 50.4 multiplied by 150, and the answer will be 7560 millimeters. Again, we are told to give our answers in meters, and now we need to convert from millimeters to meter. We divide by 100. So if we are converting from millimeter to meter, we divide by 1000. So that's what we are going to do, because we are told to write our answer in meters. We are told to write our answer in meters. Always read the question in full and understand what the question needs and how the final question should be. So here we are told that the final question should be in meters. That's why we are converting from millimeters to meters. So how do we do that? We divide by 1000. So we'll come and say 7560 divide by 1000, and then we will get our answer in meters. So we can see that our answer will be 7.56 meters. And then we do the same for our width. So to get our actual width, we will come and say 25.6 millimeters multiplied by 150. So we have already explained why we multiply by 150 up here. And if you don't understand why we multiply by 150, you can just rewind, or you can just rewind to here, and then you will hear how I explained it. Okay, so now we'll just come and multiply the two. So it will be 25.6 multiplied by 150. So it will be 3850 millimeters. And then to convert to meters, we just come and say 3840 divide by 1000, and then our answer will be in meters. So it will be 3.84 meters. Okay, and then now we are done with question 4.2.1, and we'll be moving to question 4.2.2. 4.2.2. So question 4.2.2 says that calculate the floor space he will now have available in his new double garage, and then give your answer to the nearest square meters. You may use the formula area of a rectangle. So area of a rectangle is equals to our length, and we know that our length, remember, if you look at the question is saying that give your answer to the nearest square meters. So we need to use our meters. So our length will be 7.56. So we are using what we calculated, 7.56 meters multiply by our breadth. Remember that our breadth, this is what we explained here. This is what we explained here, that breadth and width is one and the same thing. Okay, so multiply by our breadth, which is 3.84 meters. So our answer will be 7.56 multiplied by 3.84, which is 29.03 meter squared. So the squared is because we used 2 dimensions. So the formula had 2 dimensions. So it had the length and the breadth, which is the width. That's why we have meter squared. That's why we have meter squared. Okay, so now we'll be moving to question 4.3. But before we do that, we need to create a bit of space. We need to create a bit of space. Again, guys, don't forget that we do have extra classes, and if you wish to join, you can just send a message on the number that you are seeing on the screen. Also, don't forget to like the video and to subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed. So now let's move to question 4.3. So question 4.3 says that determine the probability of Mr. Sokoto not winning the competition, taking into account the number of entries he submitted. Give your answer in a percentage format. Whenever you see give your answer in a percentage format, just know that you need to multiply by 1000. Not by 1000, just know that you need to multiply by 100 so that the answer that you get is in a percentage form. Okay, so the question is saying determine the probability of Mr. Sokoto not winning the competition. Okay, so if we look at our scenario, if we look at 4.2, the scenario that we are given on question 4.2, we are told that Mr. Sokoto won the grand prize of 150,000. He submitted 1,000 entries out of the 10,000, meaning that the probability of him winning is 1,000 over 10,000 because he submitted 1,000 over 10,000. So this is the probability of him winning. And then the probability of him not winning will be 9,000 over 10,000. So we just minus 1,000 from the 10,000. So this is the probability of him not winning because he didn't submit 9,000 entries. He only submitted 1,000 out of the 10,000. So this will be the probability of him not winning. Okay, so to get our answer, remember the question is saying calculate the probability of Mr. Sokoto not winning. So we need to come and use this. So it will be 9,000 divided by 10,000 multiplied by 100. Why are we multiplying by 100? Because the question said that give your answer in a percentage format. So to get an answer in a percentage form, you need to multiply by 100. Keep that in mind. Okay, so now the answer will be 9,000 divided by 10,000 multiplied by 100. So the probability of him not winning is 90%. So chances are you won't win. Chances where you won't win. You wouldn't win the grand prize. And then now let's move to question 4.3.1. Question 4.3.1 says that what is the probability of Mr. Sokoto winning the competition? Choose from the table below. So we are given different options. So the first option says impossible. So that won't be our answer, because it is possible that he can win because he entered 1000 entries. So the second option says that unlikely. So this will be our answer. So it is unlikely that he will win because the probability of him not winning is too high. Because the probability of him not winning is too high. So this will be our answer. So now let's move to the last question for question 4, which is question 4.3.2. So question 4.3.2 says that write 10 to 90 in a simplified ratio format. So 10 to, remember the 2, whenever we are dealing with ratio, refers to our two famous dots. 2. Okay, so it will be 10%, the two famous dot, 90%. So in a simplified form, we need to divide by a number that if we divide by, we will get our answer in the simplified form, meaning that it won't have any decimals, or it won't have any commas, or it won't be in a fraction. So we will divide by the smallest number first, which is 10. So with the smallest number between the two. So if we divide by 10 here, we will get 1. And then if we divide 90 by 10, we will get 9. So both these numbers are whole numbers. There's no number that has, so it's not 9.22 or 9.3. So if it was 9.22, it means that we were going to find another common factor, that when you divide by it, you get a whole number. So that will be our last question for question 4.